What's up, everybody? Scotty White, World Combat Sports. You know what it is. This fight week. Had to jump on here and talk to the fight fans. So what we want to talk about is some of the bouts that's upcoming this weekend. All right. First, I want to talk to you, the supporters, give you a salute. Say thank you for supporting World Combat Sports and growing. You know, I need for you all to subscribe to my YouTube channel and continue to support World Combat Sports at Facebook and IG. It's very important that you get the content out. You know what I'm saying? It's a hard work, it's a grind. So I appreciate everybody hit me up on the inbox and you know, tell me that they appreciate what I'm doing for the sport of boxing and mixed martial arts. I truly appreciate it. Dale Murphy, what's good? Joe Reyes, salute to you. Mark Cizdick, salute. Let's get right to it. I basically went up to Tuscaloosa, you know, had the opportunity of stopping in and being, you know, granted access to Deontay Wilder, Bronze Bomber. For those of you that follow me, you know very well I've been advocating and supporting the heavyweight champ for quite some time now. I consider myself 40-0 when it comes to debates on here about social media dealing with the Bronze Bomber. But it was a strength, you know, it was one of those experiences that definitely would stick with me for a long time. You know what I'm saying? And I have to say this, like, you're talking about the heavyweight champion of the world, you know, going on his 9th defense, and he's very respectful. Regardless of what people say, he's an extremely respectful dude. You know what I'm saying? And he trained like a beast. He actually believed in what he's saying, and he goes out here and he gets it done in training. Whatever you want to say about him in the ring, I'm telling you, he trains like a beast, man. And Dominic Brezeale is going to have a problem on his hand. You know, from what he did say, their fight fans, he's been emphasizing that he's going back to the basics of boxing. He's trying to get himself reconstructed back to the basics because he wants to improve where his skill set is, you know, right now and where he wanted to be moving forward in his boxing career. So that's good. You know, change is always good, especially like he said, he's been getting away with it up to now. So now he's about to really turn it up and put himself in a whole nother mindset as he moves forward to fight. Seeing him train up close and personal was great, sensational, especially for me in combat sports media. It was damn worth the drive up there to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, to see the champion training. Shout out to Team Bronze Bomber, Deontay Wilder, and the whole team for granting me access. I truly appreciate it. And that won't be the last time. You know, I learned a lot about the Bronze Bomber up there. Got to meet some other collective media persons, media outlets, media vehicles. And it was a grand time. Believe that. You know what I'm saying? So, it's fight week once again, they're fight fans. You know what I'm saying? We got Claressa Shields and Christina Hammer, right? I'm glad this fight is finally coming to the surface, to fruition, so these two can get it on. They tried to basically do a face-to-face, you know what I'm saying, and talk trash to one another. You just can't talk trash with Christine Hammer. She tries to retort, but I'm just saying, you know, it's kind of like clay. You know, they're trying their best to get it while it's still soft, and hopefully everybody can form it into something. But it just didn't work out, man. You just have to chip away with it. You know, Christine Hammer, she just don't have the best retort to someone like Claressa Shields. But let it be known, the records is what count. You know what I'm saying? Christine Hammer is 24-0, 11 knockouts. She's undefeated. And she's been champion for quite some time. But switching over to the other lane, you have Flint, Michigan's own Claressa Shields, who has 2 knockouts, 8 victories, and she's going in there as a double Olympian. For those of you that don't think that experience mean anything, it does. I know we don't talk about it. You know, it'll be hypocritical of me to mention the gold medalist when I sit up there and criticize people for giving Lomachenko that credit. You know what I'm saying? But it has something to do with, you know, amateur pedigree, of course. But going into this fight, Shields and Hammer, I truly believe that it will be Shields' toughest bout today. You know what I'm saying? Hammer is much taller, just a little bit, and has much longer range. when it comes to Claressa Shields. But you have to look at the persistence of Shields. Very persistent. It's no freaking punk and Shields. She's a dog, a badger, a Kodiak, however you want to say it. I'm just curious. She reminds me of she's like the female Sean Porter to me. Like, she's constantly aggressive, in your face, and she's relentless. That's what she does. Denise Wards, what's good? What's good? Kevin Brown, Battle Boxing Gym in the house, man. Good to have you on deck. You know what I'm saying? Y'all be sure to look up Kevin Brown, Battle Boxing Gym in Columbia, South Carolina. He's doing big things on the move for boxing in the local region. But, Shields and Hammer, definitely going to be a fight to tune into. I will definitely look at Shields versus Hammer before I look at Lomachenko and Krolla. The reason why I say that is just because I feel that Krolla is one of those fighters that Lomachenko is taking just because it might be an easy plus for him. You know what I'm saying? It might be another notch that he feel comfortable with fighting. So he's going in there fighting the dude. Because Richard Comey, he just came available. His hand was hurt from picking up the title, right? And then, of course, Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia, from what I hear, is planning on fighting Eric Morales on an exhibition 4-round fight. What is going on with these fighters and this exhibition stuff? The money must be good right now. You know what I'm saying? Mikey Garcia is just coming off a thrashing from the IBF welterweight world champion Errol Spence. So his next bout isn't going to be a heavy hitter or even a soft touch. It's going to be an exhibition bout, wherever it's at, against a Hall of Famer, Eric Morales. Hey, whatever you choose to do there, Mikey Garcia, you're making your own decisions. You go and have at it. I'm not criticizing you. You're a 4-division champion, and I'm pretty sure you can make those decisions. If the bag is right, go get the bag. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at you, Mikey. Kevin said Hammer is strong with her reach, but Shields put combos together like no other. Shields definitely put her combinations together with intensity. Shields fight with intensity. She is one of those fighters that you're going to have to, even a knockout from Gabrielle Hanna didn't stop her. Once she rose up from the knockdown, you know what I'm saying? She was still right back in her chest, man. She was right there in the pocket, throwing punches, and she didn't surrender. She never capitulated from the gear that she had before she got knocked down. You know, so Christine is going to have to figure this out. You know what I'm saying? She's going to have to figure it out. Of course, us, the fight fans, we want to know, does Hammer have enough power to drop Shields like Hannah did? That's what we want to see. She has 11 knockouts to her resume. Does she have enough power to earn the respect of Claressa Shields? Not too many fighters on that female side can say that they earn Claressa's respect in the ring. Even Hannah, you know what I'm saying? She knocked her down with a right uppercut, but still, she got blasted the rest of the fight. And she won easily. So I still have Claressa Shields winning that fight, to be honest. I know a lot of people want to give it to Hammer because she's the more fundamentally sound. But I'm going to tell you, sometimes you have to go outside the box and that dog take over. Yeah, you can be fundamentally sound, but when you have somebody with the skill set and they got that extra dog to them and they're relentless, then it becomes a whole nother animal to deal with. And I think that's what we're going to see from Shields. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to ride the fence. I don't ride the fence on these fights. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying from what history is, I know Claressa has a lower knockout percentage. And Hammer, in her last 6 bouts, she's 3 for 3. She has 3 decisions, 3 knockouts. So we'll see if she's able to earn the respect and disrupt the rhythm of Claressa Shields. As far as Lomachenko and Krolla, I'll scan through it, whatever. I'll check it out. It depends. I just think this fight right here, it has no significance to Lomachenko's career right now. You know what I'm saying? I would rather see him with all the other competitive top tier boxers at the 135 division. Real talk. I would rather see Lomachenko fight somebody else or move up. But I'll tell you what's crazy, right? Hear me out. James Lights Out Tony is in the building. Salute there, legend. Thanks for dropping in always. I totally appreciate it, their champ. Robert Yates Jr., man, from BBG, Columbia, South Carolina, in the building. Look forward to seeing you in the ring, you know, whenever that is. I think it's going to be at the PD3. But, you know, pleasure covering you down there when we was at the Golden Gloves in Greer, South Carolina. So, man, continue to improve. That's what's up. One thing I heard about Lomachenko, right? Vasily Lomachenko, which is absolutely crazy. I just don't understand what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? He's talking about possibly, you know, he was talking in social media and he said something about fighting McGregor in one of those Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor boxing matches. Now, the validity to it, I'm still waiting for a little bit more heat to, you know, radiate down on this topic of discussion. Because I really don't see how Lomachenko, that fights at 135, would even think about fighting an MMA fighter like Conor McGregor. The reason that I say that, Lomachenko was complaining about fighting Manny Pacquiao, saying he wouldn't go up a catchweight at 140. He had to come down to 135. Who in the hell think Manny Pacquiao, who's a welterweight, at 40 years old, right, is going to drop down and kill himself with 135? But guess what? He's talking about he's willing to step up to fight Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor fights at 155 right now. He fights at lightweight. The divisional, the differential, the disparity of weight classes versus MMA and boxing is extreme. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. You look at the lightweight in boxing is 135, right? So you look at the lightweight in freaking MMA is 155. How in the hell he's going to fight Conor McGregor? And to be honest, Loma doesn't have any power. Conor McGregor do. Conor McGregor has power. Believe that. So if he was joking or if it has any type of substance to it, I just look at it like, how are you gonna step up and fight Conor McGregor, who's been in there with TBE and he was able to go 10 rounds with him? I just don't see that as being one of those factors that would prove beneficial to you right now. Especially you trying to get this big fight with Richard Comey or Mikey Garcia, you know, the two champions in the division, you know, that you need to come see whenever that you know, comes to the surface. But you think Conor McGregor, who was having problems making 145, you think he's going to drop down any less than that for any less than what, you know, half of what he made with fighting Floyd Mayweather? I don't think so. I don't see it. I don't see Conor McGregor freaking jumping to fighting Lomachenko at a weight that he had a problem with in mixed martial arts. That's why he's fighting at 155 right now. Real talk. Christopher Edmondson, what's good? Thank y'all for dropping through. So that's my take on Vasily Lomachenko and you know, the thoughts. You know, forget about, you know, him and Kroll or whatever, but the thoughts of him even considering fighting Conor McGregor, who is a power puncher. And I truly believe the poise. And I thought I'd never say this, right? I'm actually advocating for Conor McGregor. I believe he will hurt Vasily Lomachenko. Period. It's no doubt in my mind that he'll hurt Vasily Lomachenko. No doubt about it. Conor, one thing he does have is power. And, you know, the punishment that he's taken, I've seen it in, you know, the grassroots. I've seen it in boxing, how mixed martial artists are able to sustain and absorb much more punches, you know, than regular boxers, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Because they take the kicks, they take the elbows, you know, and they contend with lower ounce gloves. So it just seems like these mixed martial artists are taking punches in certain moments, certain situations, much better than some of these boxers, you know? So if Lomachenko doesn't have power with the 8-ounce gloves, well, how is he going to sit up here and have any type of effect on Conor McGregor at a higher weight class? Because if he's going to come up, he's going to have to come up to at least 145 to do any type of damage. It'll be a mixed match. It'll be like watching Japanese glory fights. You know, it'll be like watching the UFC when it first came on. All the fights were catch weights. We're talking about them outweighing each other by 60 to 100 pounds. So I don't see any sense in that. Next, the UFC pound for pound list that came out this weekend. Dustin Poirier and freaking Max Bless Holloway is taking place. UFC 236 is PPV. It's fighting for the interim title. Now, of course, a lot of people are going to say, why it has to be PPV? You know what I'm saying? It's going to be PPV because Max Holloway is the featherweight champion currently. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to be champ. So he's moving up to lightweight to fight for the interim title because Khabib Nurmagomedov is currently suspended. So while Khabib is suspended, you know, it's not like Dana's going to strip him of the title. Why? Because Conor McGregor at one point held 2 belts and didn't defend them for over 450 days. Until people start complaining, the fighters in the division start, placing their grievances and saying, is this what mixed martial arts in the UFC is about? What the hell is going on? So they finally stripped Conor McGregor of the belts. So now that Max Holloway is trying to do what Daniel Cormier has done, Amanda Nunes has done, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to do something different. Conor was the first to do it. DC was the second. And Amanda Nunes is currently the 135-pound and the 145-pound division champion. So now Max Holloway is trying to step up and fight Dustin Poirier for the lightweight championship, as he is the current featherweight champion. Let's talk about the 1 through 15 pound for pound list, which came out, and it's absolutely atrocious, y'all. If you follow mixed martial arts, and the reason why boxing isn't a primary topic today, because it's just the fights that's going on this weekend are talk worthy, but you have to have people on here that's willing to talk boxing. You got to be willing to drop your comments. You got to be willing to have a dialogue and converse. So I'll wait for you all to fill in. Then I go back to boxing. But now we're on a 1 through 15 pound for pound list, which is crazy. And what better person to break it down to you than myself, World Combat Sports. Okay? So number 1, of course, is Daniel Cormier. All right? Number 2, of all people that came out of nowhere, if you listen to my last pound for pound list, he wasn't even nowhere on it. Number 2 is Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. 3, Khabib Nurmagomedov. 4, John Bones Jones, who is the current light heavyweight champion. All right. 5, which is a little bit of a shocker, Max Holloway moves down from 4 to number 5. Number 6 is Henry Cejudo. He's the current flyweight champion. Yeah, the same one who's Olympic gold medalist and the same one who defeated not only Demetrius Johnson, who's considered the former GOAT of the flyweight division, but he also knocked out the former bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw in 1 round when he dropped down to 125 to fight for the title. You know what I'm saying? So number 7 came out of nowhere. Different freaking organization. He contends at Bellator. We're talking about Ryan Bader. Ryan Bader did what Conor McGregor, DC, and Amanda Nunes did. He holds 2 championship straps right now in Bellator. Number 8 is Robert Whittaker. He's the current middleweight champion in the UFC. He's been out with injuries, but he's due to make his return soon. But guess what? I'm going to talk about where he was in the last list. He's number 8 on this list, but last time he was number 12. And he hasn't fought in between this list. You know what I'm saying? In between the list shakeup, in between the revision, he hasn't fought still. Okay? 9, Kamaru Usman. He just finished, you know, putting in a dominating performance against the former welterweight champion, Tyron Woodley. Why he's at number 4? Probably because that was his first time in a championship bout. And he was able to defeat one of the best in this, you know, in the last several, year or so. He defended his title 4 times. 2 against Wonderboy Thompson. 1 against Damian Maia. And 1 against Darren Till. All right? He was doing great. Number 10 is crazy, though. Number 10, that person is hanging around. You know, I'm not sure why he's hanging out at number 10. It beats the hell out of me, and he just popped dirty, and he's suspended for 24 months. But it's TJ Dillashaw. TJ Dillashaw was number 7, y'all. He was a former bantamweight champion. He just recently had to vacate, relinquish his title, or else it would have been stripped. TJ Dillashaw popped for EPO, erythropoietin. It has a lot to do with the red blood cells and the hormone distribution, enhancing the red blood cells and the hormones, you know, help with performance. So he popped by USADA, and they suspended him for 24 months. And they retroed it back to January. So we won't see TJ Dillashaw. And I think my guess is he's 33 years old, right? So that means when he comes back, he might be 35. You know, he's going to be middle age. And will he have enough to make another title run now that he has to come off the juice? Will he have enough? Okay, 11, Tony Ferguson. This is crazy. I'm just going to get on him later. Okay, I'm going to talk about this later because he's cleared medically to fight now, Tony Ferguson. If you follow the sport, you would know he was recently in the news because his wife called 911 or whatever, put in a call that he was acting weird and strange. And she felt like he wasn't in the best of health mentally. 12th, Stipe Miocic, the former heavyweight champion who was knocked out in 1 round by Daniel Cormier. Yes, he's sitting at number 12. Don't ask me why, but he hasn't fought since that knockout. He did defend his title 3 times, but I really don't know why he's still hanging out at number 12. I don't get it. 13, Tyron Woodley. Okay, I just mentioned that he defended his title 4 times, and he was unsuccessful when he fought Kamaru Usman. So guess what? He's back he's outside at number 13 when he used to be like at number 9. You know what I'm saying? I don't get how he's at 13 and he just lost his title. He may get a rematch, but I just don't understand why he's that far outside the top 10. He's still a top 10 fighter to me. Number 14, which is going to shock a lot of you, Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega, you know Max Holloway is sitting at number 5, right? So Brian Ortega was Max Holloway's last opponent. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu trained lethal grappler. But he needs to work on his striking with his hands. Max Holloway blistered Brian Ortega, beat him into a stoppage. He's sitting at number 14. I have no idea how the heck he can make the top 15. And that was his first championship bout. I have no idea how that's possible. But he's sitting at number 14. And I'm going to tell you why when there's other people that should be in the top 15 besides him that hold straps. And number 15, of course, they just can't let go of him. They want to show this man mad love all the time. And that's Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is sitting at number 15 on the backside. How in the hell are you even considered to be the top 15? Because Conor McGregor is not consistently winning. He talks a good game, but his last bout with Khabib Nurmagomedov, okay, who's currently number 3, he was choked out in the 4th round by a fulcrum choke. So how are you sitting at 15 and in your big fights, you're inconsistent with winning? You're always losing and say, I think my country, I think the Irish fans was coming out. They support me. I do it for my country. If that's the way it should, it's easy as going to be, everybody should say that then. You know what I'm saying? But not every country support their fighters like these neighboring countries. So that's the top 15, 1 through 15. So I'm going to break it down just a little bit more with Daniel Cormier and what's going on with each individual fighter. And I'm going to make it pretty quick, brief, and simple if I don't, carry on too much. Now, Daniel Cormier, DC, he's due to come back. He's been out with an injury, okay? Arguably, one of the GOATs of mixed martial arts, hands down. DC is an absolute beast outside of John Bones Jones. He was the current light heavyweight champion and the heavyweight champion simultaneously. He was the champ. When John Jones was out of the organization, he was absolutely dominating. He submitted Anthony Rumble Johnson twice. He defeated Alexander Gustafsson. Volkan Ozdemir was on the rise, and DC shut his ass down. Then recently he fought heavyweight contender Derek Lewis, shut him down. Now let's take a little note of how DC does it. DC is shutting these opponents down like in 2 rounds. You know what I'm saying? Like when he took the belt from Stipe Miocic, he stopped him in one. He stopped Stipe Miocic in 1 round. You feel me? Then Anthony Rumble Johnson, he subbed him twice. Once in their first bout in the 2nd round, and their rematch in the 3rd round. He's taking these fighters out in 2 rounds. That's how much of a bruiser DC is, because his wrestling is just high level wrestling. But guess what? He is one of the anomalies that has worked on his hands so much that's what he uses in the cage more than his wrestling. And he's fucking these fighters up. So he's due to return, supposedly against Brock Lesnar. Now, people, if you sitting up here cogitating like myself, why in the hell is he fighting Brock Lesnar? A fighter who's been in World Wrestling Entertainment and also lost his belt. And that kind of speculated to a lot of fans that he was on his way back to make a UFC run. I know the money is good. Dana White is always going to feed him that bag. And he's going to come and take it. For what I understand, that the WWE has been paying him very well. But, hey, look for August time frame. That's what is set for Daniel Cormier and Brock Lesnar to fight. Moving on. Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson is that one championship. As you look back on it, he was in that trade. Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson never got that respect. He defended his title 10 times. So they traded him. First ever trade in the UFC. They moved him out to one championship, and they brought over Ben Askren. Okay? Demetrius Johnson is one of the GOATs also in the flyweight division. All right? The former GOATs. Now he's contending in the bantamweight division over at one championship. Why? Because they don't have a flyweight division. The same reason why Dana White is trying to banish the flyweight division in the UFC. But dude is an absolute monster. And he proved that in the UFC. Unfortunately for Demetrius Johnson, his personality just isn't a fan favorite. But he's sitting at number 2. All right? Number 3. Once again, Khabib Nurmagomedov is on suspension. He's undefeated, 27-0. He is an absolute Sambo world champion beast on the ground. And, he proved against Conor McGregor that he can use his hands. He basically fought much different than he did against Alaquinta. So he was able to stand up toe-to-toe with Conor McGregor due to the animus that existed and boiled over on the lead-up on Conor McGregor talking about his dad, talking about his country, talking about his religion, offering him a drink, a whiskey, with it's against his Muslim roots. You know what I'm saying? So he really disrespected this man. He called it Ali, his manager, a freaking terrorist, So it really got personal. But Khabib stood up toe-to-toe, and he ended up choking him out and subbing him in the 4th round, I believe. So, Khabib Nurmagomedov, number 3, and rightfully so. All right? Number 4, John Jones. Look, Jon Jones just came back and he shot Alexander Gustafsson. The first time they was in a bout, it was 5 solid rounds. And that's the most punishment I ever seen Jon Jones take. But then he came back and defeated Alexander after a long hiatus in 2 rounds, y'all. He stopped the man via strikes. Then he moved on to Anthony Smith and almost blew his championship, his championship reign again by illegal knee. Luckily for Anthony Smith, he was a good dude, honest, integrity, and he stood up and he didn't, just lay on his back and take the DQ. If he would have took the DQ against Jon Jones, he would have been champion that day. Real talk. He would have been light heavyweight champion. But he stood up and ended up losing to a 5-round decision. Now, we're not going to see Anthony Smith in that position anymore. Jon Jones pretty much dominated the guy and took it light on him because he is a nice guy, okay? So that's number 4. Number 5, Max Bless Holloway, one of the best in the game right now. The current featherweight champion who's stepping up the lightweight to test Dustin Poirier. These two fought recently at a lower weight class, previously in 2012, at a lower weight class, and guess who won? Guess who won? Dustin Poirier defeated Max Holloway. So did Conor McGregor defeat Max Holloway back then. Max has since improved big time. And these two are going into a rematch at a heavier weight class. They will contend at the lightweight division of 155 for the interim championship. The winner will face Khabib Nurmagomedov once he returned off suspension. But Max Bless Holloway, like I mentioned earlier, his last opponent was Brian T. City Ortega, and he blazed him. He just showed some technical skill set with his hands. He was punching. He was coming in with the sweeping left hook. He was just throwing from all angles, and they was landing. Ortega didn't know what to do except watch his eyes swell up. Real talk. Number 6, Henry Cejudo, the former Olympian gold medalist, wrestler. One of the only ones to do it over here in the U.S. Yes, I said it. Henry Cejudo stepped in there in the flyweight division, and he went in there against Demetrius Johnson the first time around and lost. It took him about 24 months to return, and he was able to get the win. Since then, Dana White put a bug in his ear, and he said, hey, guess what? We want you to fight T.J. Dillashaw. Basically, fighters were getting cut from the UFC that was contending in the flyweight division because Dana White was trying to banish the division. So what Henry Cejudo did, he ended up talking himself out of a freaking huge payday because he felt he was much more, in negotiating himself in a fight with another champion, such as T.J. Dillashaw. T.J. Dillashaw is a 2-time champion. So Dana White said, fuck that. You done talked your way out of it. You done talked yourself out of this bag. I'm going to go with the TJ. So he went to T.J. Dillashaw, the current 135 champion, and said, hey, I'll pay you to go down to the flyweight division, 125. I want you to go down there and freaking defeat Henry Cejudo so I can get this division out of the UFC. Because the rumor is they might be trying to open up a 165 division. That'll be between the 155 and the 170 welterweight division. So TJ drops down. Come to find out he had the juice to do it. He come down from 135 to 25, which is a 10-pound cut, right? It's not easy. He goes down there and gets stopped in 1 round. Henry Cejudo knocked this dude out. TJ Dillashaw, it's not like he's unfamiliar with getting stopped. John Dawson did it to him when he made his debut to the UFC. He's been hurt before. Cody had him hurt, but he just couldn't sustain enough discipline to finish the job. And then he went in there a second time, stopped, and did the same thing. But TJ Dillashaw is suspended. Henry Cejudo sits at number 6. I guess they're giving him the love of going in there defeating Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, who's currently in 2nd, right? Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson sits in 2nd. He changes organizations from the UFC to 1 championship. He has 1 fight, and he sits in 2nd over Henry Cejudo, who defeated him in the UFC. and also defeated a champion at 135, which Demetrius Johnson never would commit to. Demetrius Johnson never would commit to fighting 135. But he gets traded in the first ever UFC trade for Ben Askren. He goes over and have one fight, wins it, and they throw him in number 2 slot. It's just absolutely absurd. Preposterous that makes any sense. The guy who defeated you sits at number 6 and you're at number 2. And he's a champion. Anyway, moving on. 7. Another, I can kind of balance this out with Ryan Bader. He's paid his dues. I can't really go hard on the dude. When he was over at the UFC, he had his ups and downs. He was subbed by a couple of fighters, a wrestler who had to, get the hands right. And he ended up doing that once he moved to Bellator. Now, the one thing why I believe Ryan Bader is sitting at where he is right now at number 7 is because he just accomplished what Conor McGregor did. Daniel Cormier and Amanda Nunes. He's the champ. He's the light heavyweight and the heavyweight champ right now in Bellator. So I guess they showed him that ticket of love and sent him a bouquet of roses and say, good job. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't ever make that happen over in the UFC, but he's basically extended his career when he transferred over to the Bellator. When he was cut from the UFC and now he's in Bellator. So Ryan Bader sits at number 7 as we speak, people. And rightfully so. I think maybe 1 or 2, it can be 1 or 2 slots if those individuals are not freaking champs. You know what I'm saying? If you only hold 1 title, then, some of these other titleists that's holding 2 straps should be in front of you. He has the experience. He is a veteran. Anyway, 8, middleweight champion, currently, Robert Whittaker. Guess what? Robert Whittaker's been injured. He had 2 tough bouts against Yoel Romero. Dude is a rugby player, He used to be a rugby player. He still moonlights in rugby. He's Australian, an Aussie, very tough fighter. He had 2 back-to-back fights with Yoel Romero, the Cuban phenom, the wrestler himself. And it was very competitive. I watched both of them. I'll tell you that much. And I have much respect for Robert Whittaker. Very, extremely tough fighter. He's becoming a little bit injury prone, though. He's due to step back in the square. In the cage, though, and defend his belt. But why he's at number 8 and the last list he was out at 12, and he hasn't even fought since then. So how can somebody move up from 12 to 8? And they haven't even had any more activity than the last list? I can't answer that. I just have to say that's my attention to detail. Assiduously, I have to look at it that way because when I did my last live, I said he was out there in 12. Anyway, number 9 is Kamaru Usman. He's the current welterweight champion. He deserves to be within the inside the top 10. He defeated a welterweight champion in Tyron Woodley, who was doing big things, man. He was defending his title. He was doing big things. So I got to give it up to him. Real talk. So Kamaru Usman, the first from his country to be welterweight champion. And I give him all the salutes in the world, man. Damn good fighter. Has proven himself. He totally dominated Tyron Woodley. And I have to take my hat off to him. Definitely improved and polished up his striking. He's a very dominant wrestler. He has a wrestling pedigree. And he showed that against a fighter who I believe was just as dominant. But he made Tyron Woodley look amateurish a little bit. He just made it seem like he was 3 or 4 levels up. And we're talking about fighting mixed martial arts on the top tier of combat sports. Crazy. Number 10. Like I said before, it's kind of crazy. For the fighter that's sitting at number 10. I really don't know why he's at number 10. It's hard for me to understand the method to the madness on why this fighter would be at number 10. Why? Because the last time Stipe Miocic was sitting at number 10. But somehow, some way, they put Conor McGregor at number 15. and they put this fighter number 10, which absolutely makes no sense at all. Like, I kind of ask myself, who is putting together and meshing these fighters to this list? Are they looking at their last opponent? Are they looking at their career? I mean, what's going on with how they are associating or assessing these fighters to be on the top 10? Because it kind of makes no sense to me as to how they're correlating the lineup. You know what I'm saying? Like I said earlier about the Demetrius Johnson and Henry Cejudo. I don't see how that's going the way it is. But TJ Dillashaw, he just popped positive for EPO, erythropoietin, right? He's suspended for 24 months. He sits at number 10. Why? Just because his belt was stripped, right? He's going to be suspended for 24 months, retro back to January. So, but yet he's sitting at number 10. He's sitting at number 10. I don't have a clue why. Sherry Price Nichols from Elite Boxing. What's good? Lee Harper, salute. Dion Nicholson. Hey, good to see you on deck there, Dion. You know, salute to the champ, the WBC Continental champ. It was a great experience covering you over there in Tuscaloosa, man. Continue to put those hands together and go in there and win, man. Very entertaining, hard-hitting fighter, Dion Nicholson. Salute to you, man. So, number 11 is Tony Ferguson. Recently, Tony Ferguson was out here in the news because his wife said that mentally he was unstable. And, you know, he basically, I mean, I'm talking about less than 3 weeks ago. He said, okay, I was willing to get help. Getting help in that short, brief amount of time, the impromptu to medical attention for someone who's taking punishment and maybe going through CTE situations, you know, mental degradation. I can't understand how he's cleared the fight now. That's nonsense. Like, he's cleared the fight when he was just in the news for having medical problems, to the point where your immediate family called for assistance. You know, like, call for someone to come over here because she thought he may, you know, do harm to himself or whatever the case. But he's sitting right outside the top 10. I'm not saying that degrades from who he is as a fighter, because he's a tornado. Very highly skilled mixed martial artist. But with combat sports, sometimes, you know, the amount of punishment that these fighters take, it can lead to something else. Number 12, Stipe Miocic. Stipe Miocic was camping out at 10 last list. Now he's at 12. And he was at 10, and he had already lost his title. So now he's number 12, and he hasn't even fought since DC. So once again, how's the paddles, you know, still has him going upstream? You know what I'm saying? Why is he still idle in this current of fighters, especially those who are actively winning? Why is Stipe Miocic still on the list? He should be off the list. I know he defended his title 3 times. I get it. But he was knocked out in dominating fashion by DC in the first round. I'm not sure why he's even close to smelling the 10th spot. 13th is Tyron Woodley, the former welterweight champion. I look to see him get back on the winning streak somehow, some way. He's a damn good fighter, good guy. And yes, he was dominated by Kamaru Usman, but that doesn't make him a chump. You know, I mean, the man defended. He went in there and smashed Robbie Lawler in 1 round to pick up the belt. And then he defended it four times against top-tier competition. He's sit at 13. Number 14 is Brian T. City Ortega. Like I said, he stepped in 1 time for a championship bout against Max Bless Holloway, and Max destroyed him. How is he in the top 15? I don't know. Stephen Daly, what's good with you? I just don't know how Max Holloway, destruction of Brian Ortega, puts him inside of the top 15. And then last but not least, Conor McGregor sits at the last spot, 15. For whatever reason, I will not elaborate anymore. Conor McGregor lost last time versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. And why is he in the top 15? I have no idea. But it's absolutely absurd. And whoever made this list was just doing it for fun. Now, other discrepancies that's crazy. The last time I did this list, y'all, Amanda Nunes, the female UFC champ. She's the current 135 champ and the current featherweight 145 champ. She's nowhere on the list this time. She hasn't lost her belts. The last list that came out, she was number 6. Now she's off the list totally. Vanquished. Done. She went from 6 to 0. Nowhere. And she holds 2 titles in the UFC, y'all. We're not talking about neighboring organizations to the UFC. We're talking about the UFC. She went in there and knocked out Chris Cyborg, considered the dangerous woman on the planet. She knocked out in 1 round. And she's nowhere on the list. How is that possible? But hey, I just wanted to give y'all a rundown of the top 1 through 15 of the pound for pound UFC list. That's all. You know, from number 15, you had who? Conor McGregor. 14, Brian T.C.D. Ortega. 13, Tyrone Woodley, the former welterweight champion. 12, who did I say it was? I mean, this list is so distorted. It's just crazy to think about who's sitting at number 12 and he hasn't even fought. Stipe Miocic, the former heavyweight champion, defended his title 3 times. Why is he even close to smelling the top 10? 11, Tony Ferguson. Number 10 is TJ Dillashaw, who is currently suspended for popping positive for EPO. Erythropoietin. It deals with enhancing the red blood cells and freaking hormone balances in the body for strength and recovery and all that. All right. Number 9 is Kamaru Usman, the current welterweight champion. Okay. Number 8, as we said it before, Robert Whittaker, the middleweight champion. He was in number 12. Somehow he's moved up to number 8. I really don't know because he hasn't fought since the last list came out. But that's who's sitting at number 8. Number 7 is Ryan Bader, the champ over at Bellator. I say he's deserving of being in the top 10. Much respect to Ryan Bader. 6, Henry Cejudo, the current flyweight champion at 125. He defeated Demetrius Johnson for the belt. And also he took on TJ Dillashaw, the former bantamweight champion, who was just stripped of his... Well, he relinquished his title, but he would have been stripped anyway. All right? He knocked TJ Dillashaw in 1 round at 125. Number 5 is Max Bless Holloway. He will face Dustin Poirier this weekend on PPV. He's a current featherweight champion. He's moving up to lightweight for the interim championship title. The winner will face Khabib Nurmagomedov. Number 4, John Bones Jones. Come on, 24-0, man. I mean, 24-1. He should be undefeated, but of course he got the DQ with Matt Hamill. Elbow strikes, 12-6, straight up, straight down. He was brutalizing Matt Hamill, and somehow he got complacent, forgot about the rules, and the referee disqualified him. Even Matt Hamill said there's no way he would have won that fight, and his shoulder was injured. But yet they still DQ'd John Jones, and he has that 1 blemish on his MMA ledger. He sits at number 4. Number 3, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Okay? Undefeated, 27-0. He's a beast. Sambo world champion. Absolute beast on the ground. Been fighting bears since he was a kid. He sits at number 3, and he's the current lightweight champion who is on suspension for the melee that happened between him and Conor McGregor's team in their bout, post-fight. And number 2, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. Like I told you before, how can you sit at number 2? And the guy who defeated you last in the UFC sits at number 6. You know, Henry Cejudo defeated you, and he basically knocked out someone who you wouldn't face. Now, granted, Demetrius Johnson is a GOAT at the flyweight division, okay? He's a legend. But how is he sitting at number 2? And when he left the division off the defeat from Henry Cejudo, it makes no sense. And number 1, the former champ who had to relinquish his belt or fight John Jones, Daniel Cormier, a.k.a. DC, he's due to return sometime in August and face Brock Lesnar, who just lost his title over there at Wrestling Entertainment. And rumor has it he's on his way back over to the UFC. Dana White loves Brock Lesnar. He was scheduled to come over here possibly and fight John Jones at one point. But I guess they're trying to make a heavyweight fight for him to step in there and make some money. Pay-per-view against DC return fight. DC is going to destroy Brock Lesnar. DC is going to absolutely destroy Brock Lesnar, man. I know DC's been hurt, but he's been hurt by a rangy, tall sniper like John Jones. You know what I'm saying? John Jones is his equalizer. John Jones is DC's alpha. Brock Lesnar, yeah, he has big hands and he has wrestling pedigree and he know his mixed martial arts, you know, but he's not considered a high level. You know, Alistair Overeem stopped him with kicks to the body. Frank Mir knee barred him. You know, he subbed him with a knee bar, a leg lock, whatever you want to call it. He's been defeated. So DC has been on a winning streak and doing what DC does, and I don't see Brock Lesnar changing that. So DC sits at number 1, and that's 1 through 15. Period. And hopefully you respect it. For you mixed martial arts fan out there, I gave you the rundown of the pound for pound list that was put out. It's quite different than the last one I talked about. Whenever pound for pound lists come out in mixed martial arts, you can guarantee I'm going to speak on it. All right? Because that's what I do. I have to let you know the differential between the last one and this one and why the hell some of these people are popping up like weed killers, you know, like they popping up like weeds just to spray them down and say, okay, how you pop up over here? Was there a crack in the pavement? How is this possible? We didn't see you last list. But anyway, Demetrius Jackson, what's good, man? Stephen Davis said, what's up, Scotty? World Combat Sports. Hey, thanks, Stephen. I appreciate it, man. You know, thanks for you all dropping through. Demetrius Jackson say Yoel Romero beat him. If you're saying hypothetically, I agree, man. You know, I think deep down, Demetrius, the reason why Yoel didn't get that decision, because he's pretty much screwed up previously. Like he's missed weight. You know what I'm saying? In big bouts, he's missed weight. So they might have had him in that moment of punishment. I know you might call it bullshit, being that he is a top tier fighter. But I'm telling you, blackball does happen. And Yoel Romero has walked that line several times over with him missing weight. So when he finally showed up against Robert Whittaker and many thought he won that bout, they screwed him over. It wouldn't be the first time somebody gets screwed over in the UFC. But yeah, I agree with that point, Demetrius. Good point. Stephen Davis say John Jones lost. John Jones has one blemish on his ledger from a DQ. That's it. You know what I'm saying? He's 24-1 right now. And that time that he lost to Matt Hamill was years ago. I mean, John Jones has since gotten suspended so many times. But, you know, facing Matt Hamill, he was brutalizing that dude. And in the moment of a death by 1,000 elbows, he threw a 12-6 elbow, which is banned from being a legal strike in the UFC, y'all. The reason is one of the commissions went to an ice breaking contest and he seen how a martial artist can use their elbow to break ice. And he said, no way that strike should be used in competition. So he went back and said, guess what? I don't want to see that strike. John McCarthy, who used to be a premier referee over there, that's now doing commentary, he basically tried to advocate and say, no, it doesn't work like that. And it hasn't been changed to this day. You know what I'm saying? The commission made that change and they sticking with it. You know, I can see like the old school fighters when you was a grounded opponent on your knees and they would just soccer ball your head. Like they'd just run up there and kick you in the head. Now I can see that being outlawed. But a 12-6 elbow, it's not going to do any more punishing than you coming across with an elbow. You know what I'm saying? 3-9, whatever you want to call it. Stephen Davis said, I didn't get to see his last fight. Yeah, he went in there against Anthony Smith. He won that easily. You know, he could have been disqualified if Anthony Smith would have capitulated to the canvas after he received that illegal knee from John Jones, but he stood up like a man, you know what I'm saying? And he carried on with the fight, and he lost unanimously. Easy. John Jones had an easy go at Anthony Smith. He took it easy on him because he did get up and didn't take the DQ and become light heavyweight champion of the world. I mean, John Jones was giving that man mad love at the end of the fight. He said, I respect him. He was a good guy. You know, deep down inside, he said, thank you for not fucking me over, because I would have goddamn had another setback and I would have had to come back and fight Anthony Smith again in a rematch just to get the title that should be rightfully mine in the first place. So that would have been his second DQ of his career. No one has ever defeated John Jones. Sharif Ali, what's good with you? Stephen Davis say, oh, okay. I thought you said earlier that he just lost. I didn't even think he was fighting. No, I said he has one blemish to his ledger. He didn't recently lose. He has one blemish where he was DQ'd by Matt when he was contending against Matt Hamill. No one has never defeated him per se. You know what I'm saying? Stephen Davis says, Scotty, I got to head out, my man. About to cook out. All right, cool. Handle that cookout, man. You know, enjoy that food. Real talk. Burgess Boxing and Fitness, man. What's good, Tony? He said, my man, Scotty White, World Combat Sports. I appreciate the support there, Tony. You know, Burgess Boxing out there, Spring Lake, man. Keep doing what you do, man. And keep supporting them fighters out there and put them in those tournaments. Hey, I'm pretty sure we'll cross paths sooner or later. You know what I'm saying? Again. You know, we was just out there at the Azalea Festival boxing tournament they had out there in Wilmington, North Carolina. So he had some fighters out there. You know, I saw Paul out there. It was a lot of people that was contending in that tournament. But I want to give a shout out to Skip Crumpler, man. He's 66 years old. Skip Crumpler put out a video. And dude, he freaking benched, I think, at 135 for 26 times. And then immediately off the bench, he did shadow boxing for however long that was. And went over to the pull-up bar and did 10 pull-ups, man. At 66 years old, man. You got to give it up. Salute. Salute to Skip Crumpler. Dude is a beast. Believe that. A lot of you, when you get even remotely close to 66, if that's not something you live, I know he's a vegan. He don't eat meat. So for him to be in that type of shape, still training fighters, you know, best at the game at rapid hands, for him to go over there and put that workout in, man, salute to him. You know what I'm saying? That's one of those personal goals that you have to stay fit. And you know, thanks to Salubrity, which is promoting health and fitness. And he seems to be dialed in with that at 66 years old. You know, I know my pops, he died at, I think, 61, if I'm not mistaken. But he never worked out, I mean, anything like that. You know, he died of cancer. But, you know, you definitely have to take care of yourself, because the food isn't the way it used to be when we was growing up. Those of you that can relate. They have so much going, you know, like I hear people talk about organic, right? And I would like to have a, you know, a pretty much a freaking educational, a conducive dialogue about dieting. Because a lot of people tell you to go get organic food, which has a lot of preservatives and artificial ingredients in them too. Organic sounds nice, quote unquote, but not all organic food is healthy. It's good just to take the regular food, leave out all the salt and the sodium for sodium intake, and bake it. That's all you got to do, man. You know what I'm saying? But some people like to fry it. Some people like to get that greasy taste. You know, a lot of people like the salt. I agree. I mean, health food, point blank, period, underscore. It doesn't taste good. It doesn't taste good, man. Healthy food, if you cook it real healthy and you basically deplete the salt intake to that seasoning. I know Mrs. Dash has all these freaking seasons that you can put on there, no salt. If you used to that acquired taste, then season your food with it. Use pepper. You know, very spicy foods burn calories. Now, I'm not talking about jerk chicken, with a whole lot of sauce on it. I'm not talking about spicy barbecue or Hooters wings, you know, Daytona Blaze with 3 peppers on it. I'm not talking about that. That's still fried. I'm just saying spicy food on baked chicken, beef, whatever you want to do. Sharif Ali says, salute Dr. Hands. Yeah, man. Skip Crump, the best in the game of rapping hands. He's been around for decades. I can say that. He's been around for decades. So salute to the box father himself. But besides that, that's all I had, man. You know, I just wanted to get on here. Thanks to the supporters. Hey, it's going to grow. I'm going to start being heavy on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I'll be on here every now and then on Facebook. But I'm going to start building up my video content, building up my subscribers on YouTube. Facebook in itself is cool. You know, it is what it is. But I'm going to continue to grind, y'all. Thank you for your support. And we would do this again when there's a big fight coming up. You know, you have Terrence Crawford and Amir Khan popping off next week. That's a big fight. You know, you have Teofimo Lopez that's fighting on the co-main on the undercard. And then you have who? The man himself, the future of boxing, Shakur Stevenson, who's on a winning streak. I'm not just saying because he's undefeated. I'm just saying dude is turning the corner from being like that young kid, the silver medalist from the Olympian, to fighting as a grown man. So he's doing really good things. So I look forward to his step-up fight, for him stepping in there at MSG next week and getting it done. And once again, I want to give a shout-out to Team Deontay Wilder, Bronze Bomber, for having me on deck. It was a pleasure. It's all good. I learned a lot. For those of you that don't support the Bronze Bomber, you need to tune in. You know what I'm saying? I'll be putting out content from that session that I had up in Tuscaloosa with the Bronze Bomber. It was fun, exciting. Dude is serious about this fight with Dominic Brezeale. Him and his entire team. You know, very respectful, organized group of people. They know what they want for the champ. And, you know, he goes in there and get it done. And hopefully more boxing fans in general will turn over to support champion Deontay Wilder. You know what I'm saying? I've been speaking about this for quite some time. I mean, we need to support this champion because he is a U.S. champion, okay? Let's be clear. And he has challenged all the top-tier fighters that's in his division. Let that be clear. So the only thing we can understand is that he has to fight the mandatories like he's doing now with Dominic Brezeale. And he's going to defeat Dominic Brezeale, period. Hands down. He's taking this training much more serious. If you check out my video, I put together a video, edit some clips, meshed them together, and distributed it. It's on YouTube. I posted out here on Facebook. And he's going back to the basics, getting his jab continuously, you know, firing off the jab, doubling up on it, you know, getting back to the fundamentals of training, jump roping. And, you know, he's just basically including certain areas to his training aspect that he believes that's going to help him enhance who he is as a fighter moving forward in his career. And you can't blame him for that. You know what I'm saying? At this point in his career, he said he got away with it, and he looked forward. Now that he has the world's attention, he want to do better for himself and look better in the ring. So he's going to come in a little bit heavier than previously. You know, he's going to be, his skill set is going to be polished up. You know, as you saw in the video, he was working behind the jab, doubling up, looking sharp, straight down the middle, stinging combinations. And he has a long, rangy, freaking left-right. Real talk. And we already know he's the heaviest hitter in boxing. He is absolutely hand down the heaviest hitter in boxing. Period. You can go back on my lives and all that. Don't no one hit harder than Deontay Wilder. He knocked down Tyson Fury in the 12th round. I know a lot of you going to sit up here and say, well, didn't Gervonta Davis get on the bag and score 932 to the Deontay's? That means nothing. Deontay hit that with his left hand. His right hand is the Alabama Slammer. He hit the bag with his left hand because his right hand was hurt. You know what I'm saying? So he has power and dynamite in both hands. Let's be real. Sharif said, I wish I could get behind Brezeale to make this fight exciting. But blah, blah. Hey, you can support whoever you want, Sharif. Real talk. Me, I just don't support the fighter just because it feels good to you know, change it up a bit. I've been supporting Deontay Wilder for quite some time. You know, so I've been saying pretty much the same thing. Like, if he's that easy, if he's lacking the fundamentals like you say, if he's doing everything wrong, well, why he ain't losing? He said the same thing. Like, if it's such an easy task to go in the ring for someone who's somewhat fragmented in his skill set, do me a favor. Find somebody to beat him. That's pretty much what he said. And it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened. I've said plenty of times before, Deontay Wilder has every avenue to retire undefeated. It's possible. I know he's in his early 30s, and he will have to pick up the work rate a little bit, but he hasn't taken extensive punishment. You know what I'm saying? So he possibly may be one of those fighters who didn't have a long, extensive amateur pedigree that can fight till he's 40 years old. You never know, right? Especially if Anthony Joshua comes out of hiding and stop ducking Deontay and put those other belts up. Because, you know, Deontay Wilder wholeheartedly can be unified champion, undisputed. One champ, one face, one name, man. You know what I'm saying? So, y'all stay tuned. I look forward to going back up to the camp and covering the champ once again. It was fun. It was an experience to cover a champ. Deontay Wilder's highly respectful, man. Him and his whole team. Very respectful team. So there's no way no one gonna convince me otherwise. He might come up here and trash talk. He'll fight it. He can say what he want. But you talking about one-on-one, he's respectful as hell, man. The entire time. To all the media, you know, like I told you in Tuscaloosa, he stayed there damn near till the building was empty and talked to the fans, took pictures, did interviews. Yeah. So hopefully y'all, you know, look at the video and that might persuade you to being a Deontay Wilder fan. Sharif say, oh, you basically said that. Okay. So it's no way I can support. I'm not saying I have a problem with Dominic Brezeale. I'm just saying he went in there with Anthony Joshua. And to the lead up on that fight, he wasn't talking too much. Like he was apprehensive a little bit. Yeah, he went 7 rounds, but guess what? He went in there with Anthony Joshua. I mean, a lot of people go 7 rounds with Anthony Joshua. Joseph Parker went 12 rounds. Alexander Povetkin went 10 rounds. I mean, who does it? Dillian White, the same thing, 7 rounds. I mean, Carlos Takam went 10 rounds. It's not like that was something that no one has ever did with Anthony Joshua. It's several fighters who went 10 rounds, 7 rounds with Anthony Joshua. Vladimir Klitschko, he went out in the 11th round. So if you look in that aspect, nothing was done. Like, you know, Dominic Brezeale didn't do anything more than what other fighters have did. He was knocked out, though, but he did go to the 7th round. You know? So that's all I got. You know? For right now, continue to tune in to World Combat Sports. Hopefully I can get more people on here to talk up this boxing and mixed martial arts. I have no problem taking your questions. You know? Constantly on the move, grinding it out, covering boxing and mixed martial arts. Having fun. Sharif said, hey, Dago, salute. Thanks for dropping in. Brezeale, a sparring material across the board. Yeah, some heavyweights have sparred Brezeale. He's a big dude, so he settles in nicely to being that, you know, to fit in your narrative as far as being a sparring partner. To me, it seems like when you place him as a sparring partner, it's somewhat like the BUM status, which I don't call really fighters bums. I know the neighboring fighters love calling fighters bums all the time, but when they're a sparring partner, it just seems like their qualification stops there. You know what I'm saying? They idle out at being a sparring partner, which when it comes to high level and a respectable high ranking competition, they consider them as BUMs. You know what I'm saying? Bums. They consider them as not someone that's competitive. They just good for the gym, and that's it. When it comes time to step up under the bright lights on the big night, they don't show up. And that's somewhat like Dominic Brezeale has to get himself together to step up again and do what he do. But it's not going to be against Deontay Wilder. It's not going to happen. He's not defeating Deontay Wilder. It's not going to happen. He's a much more lower skill set, and he's going to get blasted. And Deontay, you know, he's on a whole nother level, man, when it comes to freaking training for this fight. I don't know what the hell Dominic Brezeale. I never really followed Dominic Brezeale. I just know the bout that he has coming up on May. Oh, it's going to be serious. It's going to be a problem. That's all. And hopefully y'all tune in, man, and support the Bronze Bomber. Support the Bronze Bomber, man. Besides that, that's all I got. Salute to you. Y'all continue to support World Combat Sports. I'm out.